Hi, all. Hope you're well. Cullen here, and welcome to Lawyer Lending Live. My next guest is an absolute superstar, 18 years in accounting, and has worked for the same firm, BDO, for all that time. Could you please make very welcome a revered person in her own space, Suzy Munt from BDO, partner? How are you, Suzy?
I'm well, thanks, Cullen. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you so much for making time for Lawyer Lending Live today and have a chat about what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now we were talking offline. It seems everything's going on in your world. What is happening right now? What's happening in the world of Suzy Munt, partner at
What's
BDO?
happened? Well, coming up to my 18 years here at BDO, it's a massive lead up to Christmas. Everyone's really busy trying to get everything done before I go on leave. I'm away all of January. So, trying to get
Okay.
all my clients looked after so they get the best service they can before I go. But yeah, everyone's trying to get everything done before Christmas. It's that deadline, that invisible deadline everyone sees, particularly in family business. You know, they want to make sure that all the families on good terms before they go for Christmas holidays or have Christmas lunch. So I've got quite a few assignments on at the moment with family business and succession planning. So I've got one with a family business at the moment, helping them get on the same page in the family. I've got another one that's not even a family business. In fact, succession planning is not just for family businesses. It's
No.
also for other professional organisations as well. Doing one at the moment for a professional firm. So similar to lawyers, having that succession of that next generation of partners come through. Making sure that the partners and the firms on the same page around what they're doing and how they're going to operate the business and what's their goals and their growth and their plans. So making sure all of that stuff's on the right page before they have that succession plan in place, so that we've got it all together. And also wealth succession, helping a family with they've sold a business and doing that wealth succession to the next generation, so that next generation really understands how they're going to make decisions together as the next generation. How do they make sure they're investing in the right things and those sorts of things, which you would completely understand with investments and buying property and all the rest of it.
Totally. It sounds like you're adding massive value there, Suzy. And this is obviously a live discussion. It is 11:17 on the 7th of December. So I would encourage you, while you've got this powerhouse online, put your questions into the comments. We'll try and address them and bring them up.
Really?
And yeah, we'll get onto them ASAP. So you talked about family business. It's obviously important. Is that what drives you, Suzy?
Oh,
Helping family business grow?
yeah, absolutely. I love working with family businesses. I've had my own family businesses growing up. So many people would understand working with family businesses. You get as a kid, chopping up lettuce in the kitchen, or get all those little jobs, and you see firsthand family businesses at work. And I'm really passionate about making sure that family businesses really get that great chance at success of working together, because a lot of the work that we do get in this space is in a crisis. Often
Yes.
when someone's had a heart attack or someone's passed away, and all those plans, and no one's talked about anything. And so I'm really passionate about making sure that people actually have those conversations and have those plans in place, so that when something happens, it's already there, it's ready, it's done for them. They've already had all those tough discussions, and they are tough discussions, but they've had them so that when they're in the heat of the moment, or they're having these awful things happen at the time, they've already got a plan in place. And so I'm really passionate about helping families to do that, and to make sure that they're having a great Christmas, and they're not talking about what's going to happen, or when am I ever going to get shares in the business, or you got a better life growing up than what I did. We see sometimes there's maybe two younger siblings and two older siblings, and the younger siblings have had the better life because they've the business has been really affluent during their childhood years. They've had the nice holidays, they've had the, private schooling, and then the older kids are like, oh, but we had to go to public school and we had to go to caravan park and, all of these. So, there's a very different sense of entitlement, or a sense of purpose around sometimes the wealth and the business, and that can cause a lot of clashes with families. And so making sure that those clashes just don't happen, or that they're communicated and can have a conversation in the right frame of mind and the right time, so that when something happens, that they're ready for it.
No, it sounds like a wonderful Christmas present to get, that you give all of your clients, Suzy, that peace of mind.
Absolutely.
And people obviously reach out to you when there's a crisis. Is there a more maybe entrepreneurial or business like framed mindset where people reach out to you, go proactive rather than reactive, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. There are certainly times that happens, and that's the assignments we love working with, because
Yes.
they then do have this in place for them, so that they can stress test it when something does go wrong. But they are, and oftentimes the families think that they have everything together and it'll be a really easy process, but it is still a difficult process for them, because they often don't know what they don't know, and they don't talk about everything, and they think that everything's going along rosy, and then we might pick at a few things and uncover a few things that they might not realize, because a lot of times people they have their little blinkers on. They're going about their life, and they think everything's rosy, but actually there's this other issue. There's a Mack truck heading for them the side and they can't see it. So, for us coming in and being able to help them uncover some of those things is really valuable, so that, it is the best time when they are in a really good place to be able to have those conversations and ensure that there is no Mack truck heading for them that's going to cause a disaster. So.
Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Absolutely. And is that what's part of helping, I guess, businesses grow? What does that mean to you personally there, Suzy? Like, what does helping a business grow mean?
Helping a business grow, well, that's really a process, Colin.
Yeah.
Helping a
I
business
love that.
grow is really a process that we help our clients with. The really important question to ask first is, what's the goal? What's the actual ultimate goal? And that's not necessarily of the business, but of the individuals, the people behind. We're all in people businesses. What's the ultimate goal of the people in the business? Is it to work 9 to 5 and have every night and every weekend with their kids, and they don't want to work, really long, stressful hours? Is it that they want to retire at 50? Do they want to keep working until they're 70? Do they want to hand it to the next generation? Do they want to list the business so that, they've really, really massively wealthy in their retirement, but they're happy to work really hard now? So what's that ultimate goal? And then what do we need to do in the business to be able to meet those goals? What does the business need to achieve for them to be able to achieve those goals? And how are we going to make the business grow? So that could be, their revenue and their profit. It could be making sure that the business processes and policies grow with the business as well. So ensuring that, the business itself is going to be sustainable into the future. You don't want to have this massive growth plan, all these massive sales, and then you don't have the staff to be able to, do that work or to really sustain that work. And then you end up, stumbling over yourself. So you're making sure that the business and the processes of the business grow with you.
I love that. So it's like stretching.
Yes, absolutely. It's about stretching, and you've got to make sure the whole business stretches with you. You can't just focus on one thing. You've got to focus on everything as a whole and holistically review the business. And that's what we find a lot with businesses. Again, like I said before, business owners are really great at what they do. They have this, they're great at the business. That's why they're in that business, and they have this laser focus on that business. But they don't often see the whole picture. They don't see holistically. They don't have that helicopter view. So that's where we come in and really help those clients to, take that helicopter view and to have a look at their business and challenge those goals and challenge what's happening in the business, so that it does grow with them and stretch with them, and make sure that they're really achieving what they ultimately want to achieve in their life.
I'm indeed by what you're saying about that stretch concept, especially in the current environment, which Rising rates, the cost of living, inflation at 7.3 plus, it's stretching a lot of people as it is. What are your top tips you're telling your family businesses and legal professionals and businesses in this difficult time with rates going up?
Oh, for sure. I think the biggest thing is managing your cash flow.
Yes.
It's really looking at that cash flow. Where's that cash going? What's your working capital look like? A lot of people don't actually understand working capital. Working capital is effectively the difference between when you start your work, whether that's professional firms and you're starting your work in progress, or if you're making widgets, when you start that process of making your widgets, all the way through to when you bill your customer and you get paid. That cash flow difference is your working capital. And you need to make sure you have enough working capital to be able to sustain that time. But then if you want to grow, you obviously need more cash to be able to grow and to sell more. So if you want to sell more widgets,
Yes.
you've got to make the widgets first. So you need the cash to make the widgets. So it's really managing that working capital and where is that working capital tied up in your business. So for professional firms, a lot of that's tied up in your work in progress. So making sure you're billing your work in progress, on as quickly as you can. What's those work in progress days? Are your clients paying you on time? You're following them up to make sure that they're paying on time. And then also your payments that you're making. Are you paying your bills as soon as they come in, or are you making sure that you're actually just paying them on the agreed terms as well, or are you reviewing those terms that you're paying your bills on? If you're suppliers are asking you to pay within 14 days, or are they asking you to pay in 30 days? When are you actually been paying those bills, and can you, maybe negotiate some of those payments, or how you're managing that cash flow?
I love that. And cash flow, it is the lifeblood of a business. Maybe not people who own businesses don't understand, but definitely I've got a t-shirt that I sometimes wear when I run. It's like peace, love, cash flow. And it's
Yeah,
always the business owners that get a little a chuckle when they run past me and they're like, amen.
I
Like,
love
my
that.
goodness. It's all
Telling
about
those
peace, love. Those three things: peace, love, and cash flow.
I love
I guess this is a bonus question. How can people ensure they're not spending their cash in the business over and over again? So, like barristers who are sole traders, they're not technically businesses in the traditional sense. There's this old joke that many of them have tax debts. This could be a generalization because they spend their money three times: when they get the work, when they do the work, and when the money comes into their account. How do businesses, like, I guess, ensure that they're not over spending on their cash, or getting the cash to come in at a timely
Yeah.
manner?
Yeah. It's absolutely just managing that relationship with your clients so that they are paying on time, and how can you then support your clients as well to be able to do that? So maybe they're also having cash flow problems. So maybe
Yes.
you could then support them in terms of getting them the right help or advice in managing their own cash flow. Because if you can help them, they're going to help you. It's also just about doing some forecasting and making sure you're actually reviewing those numbers and getting some good bookkeepers and accountants around you to be able to make sure that you're managing that.
Fantastic. And we've already got a question from Bruce Dennis who's checking in. I don't I don't know if this is something we can address, but I'll put it up here. Thanks, Bruce. Are you a direct deposit taker from a public or facility peer-to-peer lending? As an investor, how do I evaluate risk versus return? Thanks for the question there, Dennis.
I think that's a question for you, Cullen.
There you go. Oh,
But is that maybe that's for you, Cullen, too.
well, I'll put it up there. Thanks, Bruce. So we're the only mortgage broker for lawyers in Australia. We don't actually handle any money ourselves, but our 30 lenders on our panel can take care of any loans that we introduce. The question we get from barristers is, how do you make sure that there's no conflict of interest? Because our clients actually don't pay for our services. The banks pay us on settlement. And the question is, how do you manage that conflict of interest that you're helping me with a loan that someone else, a third party, is paying for? And it's a valid question. And the way we address it is, most banks and brokers lend on rate. They're like, we'll get you the sharpest rate. And as I said to a client yesterday, we don't do that, because it's not just about rate. Yes, rate is important, but we're looking at credit policy. Many of our clients that Suzy works with, self-employed, it's complex lending. There are certain policies at a bank that we need. So whereas that we've got 30 lenders, it's like 10 to 11 that we work with really well. And there's only 4 that in particular that do 90% for lawyers? So it's a great question, I would say there, Bruce. We don't take any money directly, but our lending partners pay us for introducing business. So great question. Moving on to what we've got going on there, Suzy, if you could talk about lessons your business owners would have liked to have known before they engage you or before they started their business. What are you hearing on the grapevine from your clients that they would have liked to have known?
That's a great question. I think, particularly when people are starting business, they're very, head first into that brilliant idea that they have, or, that business that they've got. And they're very, very focused on that, which is great. But it's about make sure you got the right people around you that's going to challenge you and ask the right questions, because often you can have rose-colored glasses and you think everything's going to be really great and really rosy and really wonderful. And then you hit a snag and you're like, oh, I wish someone might have asked me that question before or challenged me on that, or, so I think it's about getting the right people around you, getting a good network around you, that you can ask the right questions to the right people, and that people are going to challenge you. Don't get yes men around you, yes people around you.
Yes.
Get people who are going to actually challenge you, and ask the right questions.
No, I love that, and it seems like engaging with the right people is so important. I know you're a big believer in face-to-face, belly-to-belly coffees, networking, and thank you to John Sermon, by the way, for introducing Suzy and I. How important is that BD aspect to your business there, Suzy? Meeting new people, getting amongst it. Like, I know it's important to do the work and look after your clients, but what about engaging with new people? I don't think many businesses touch on that.
100%. It's extremely important. As I said before, we're all a people business. We work with people, we deal with people. We're not, it's not just about numbers. I am an accountant, but we're not just about numbers and crunching numbers. It's actually a people business, and we're about the people, and we're about the growth, we're about the goals and the strategy. And, you really do have to have the right people around you that, you can bounce ideas off, because, I'm technically my own business here as well, got my own clients, and I have the same struggles as every other business owner in terms of, you've got employment issues and staffing and, winning clients and managing your debtors and your bills and all the rest of it. You've got all of that. So being able to bounce ideas off other business owners is really important. And then they're your lifeblood in terms of referrals for clients, and connecting you with great people like John's connected Cullen and I, at a coffee shop of all things in Sydney, randomly, very, very randomly. But, and that's the importance of network. And it's also about saying yes to things. I could have been like, oh, well, Cullen's in Sydney, I'm in Brisbane. He's a lawyer, he's a broker for lawyers. I'm an accountant in Brisbane. What are we going to have to connect with? But look at us, we've really connected, and I think that's really amazing. And you never know where conversations will lead you, and you never know, what people will bring and what their contact sphere and their networks will bring you as well.
I love that. I resonate with what you're saying there. You never know where that one connection or coffee could take you. I'm a big believer in that. I've got a team of 17, and whenever they say, oh, Cullen, this guy's or girl's invited me to coffee, I don't know them, they're not a lawyer, I said, take it. You don't know who that person knows. Everyone's got a network of 100 to 120 people that they know very closely. Just have a coffee with them. And many of the greatest connections, like yourself there, Suzy, have come from meeting with people that aren't traditionally fitting in what I do. And I think people just need to have a mind open to everything and attached to nothing.
100%. Yeah, absolute open mind. It's very important.
Very, very important. Absolutely. And where can people find you most? Where are you hanging most? If someone wants to get in touch with Suzy Munt from BDO, where do they do it?
You can email me, suzy.munt@bdo.com.au, LinkedIn, absolutely. And I think you've tagged me on your LinkedIn post there, so you can absolutely find me there. I'm absolutely always up for coffee, so feel free to reach out. I'm in Brisbane CBD, but also happy to have any online virtual coffees with anyone as well. So
Fantastic. Please connect with Suzy. Send her an email. Connect on the LinkedIn. Open to connect. I would suggest put a comment. Don't just blindly connect. Put something in there. And if you've got any questions or burning questions, absolutely ask Suzy.
Awesome.
Not to put you on the spot there, Suzy. I usually ask this question in my Law Live segments with my legal professionals, but I think because you work with a lot of business owners and you add so much value, after all is said and done in this world, and one day when you move on, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good
that's a
one.
very good question. That's how I like to be remembered. I would like to be remembered for helping connect people and helping businesses, at the time that they need it the most.
That's so important, and I think that's wonderful. It's like I got that from an ER person in an ambulance. They said I help people on the worst day of their lives. And I hope people aren't in that spot when they meet you, but you definitely help that situation for them.
100%. Yeah. Awesome.
Very good, Suzy. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, and everyone that was watching. High engagement here there, Suzy, and thanks so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. And if you'd like to reach out to Suzy again, connect with LinkedIn, send her an email. And thanks again for joining us, everyone, for A Lawyer Lending Live. Take care.